Yeah, come on. Sitting at the party, rocking back and forth, acting like you divorced. Your legs from the dance floor. Girls are saying they want more.
Told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 pigs. Now my shoebox got 100 G.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on 103.5 WNHHLP, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We are also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/NewHavenIndependent or go to your Facebook page and look us up. Well, as you can see, I'm here by myself today. For now, Uncle Lou is on the way. I don't know that Kibra will be making the show today, but still, we have a lot to talk about because obviously legalization is starting to heat up here in Connecticut. We'll also have Brian Center calling in at 1:20. He can give us a little bit of an update about what's going on with the medical marijuana program and the new dispensaries opening up, and basically how legalization is going to affect the medical marijuana program. And that's been a question that's been on a lot of people's minds. I've seen that a lot of people have really been worried about what's going to happen to the program if legalization goes through the way they have it written. So that's something we're going to discuss with Brian. As far as, news, what's going on in the cannabis industry, for those of you who don't know, the third part of the cannabis legalization bill here in Connecticut was passed through committee last week. And now the three bills will be joined together. The three bills we've been discussing here on the air will be joined together, which will be the general law, the judicial, and the finance. All three parts will be joined together and tweaked a little bit, put together as one legalization bill, and then brought to the floor for debate and then a vote. Now, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes with this. For those of you who don't know, the third part of the bill, which was the economic part, how much they're going to tax the cannabis and where that money is going to go, believe it or not, has created quite a bit of controversy. So real quick, I want to go over what they're proposing. They're proposing a $35 an ounce tax on flower or a $13.50 an ounce tax on trim. So that means on the stuff that they're going to make the oil out of. So basically, everything that the growers is growing is going to be taxed, even if it's a stalk, seeds. Everything is going to be taxed by the ounce, not by the pound, but by the ounce. The reason they did this was in case the price of marijuana goes down. So we know that they were originally proposing a 20% across the board tax, right? Looking at a value of $200 an ounce. That, then you'd be $40 an ounce, which is almost similar to what they're talking about because they're also talking about adding the 6.35% Connecticut sales tax, and they're also talking about adding a 3% municipal tax for the town or the city that houses the marijuana business, and that would be an optional tax. So pretty much we're talking about the same thing looking at $200 an ounce. But the problem that Connecticut saw, of course, was that what happened in Oregon. And what's happening in a lot of the legal states is that the price, after a while, goes down. So then if you're doing a 20% tax, your 20%, and the price of marijuana goes down to $100 an ounce from $200, then you're going to lose half your tax revenue. So the state of Connecticut, being the smart business people that they are, decided to put a $35 tax on an ounce, no matter what it costs. So if the ounce costs $200, you're still getting a $35 tax. If the ounce costs $100, you're still getting a $35 tax. Not great for the consumer. It's fine for the government, though. And then, like I said, 6.35% on gross tax receipts and 3% local tax to be optional. So now what really has created the controversy in this is the distribution of the money. So the original bill called for distributing the funds, the $35 an ounce tax. Obviously, the 6.35 sales tax goes to the state, and the 3% tax would go to the municipality, and they could do what they want with it. But the $35 an ounce tax, they want the money to go into community development projects, community development corporations, into specific zones, which they've declared opportunity zones. And I was reading today that there are 72 of them throughout the state. So there are 72 opportunity zones that they've designated throughout the state. And they're looking for nonprofits and they're looking for other organizations to come step up to the plate, become certified and approved by the state to be what they call a community development corporation. And they want to make sure that the money goes to low-cost childhood education, funding for students, college, helping people to start businesses, building community centers, fixing playgrounds, all these different things that would help those communities that have been hurt by the war on drugs. And it's a very, very well-written and good bill if it can go through that way. And here's where the problem lies. There seems to be two factions here in the Democratic Party, where there is the progressive Democrats who want to see this go through with the community development. They even did make some tweaks to it after the committee meeting and after the hearing. They have added drug education programs and law enforcement education programs into that, and that came from pressure from other lawmakers to add those in. The problem here becomes Ned Lamont, Joe Arsimowitz, and some of the older guard of the Democratic Party want to have control of where the money goes. I mean, this bill sets up a special committee that would decide and enforce and make sure that the money went to the right places and went to the zones that it was determined for. Whereas Joe Arsimowitz and Ned Lamont are saying they don't really like earmarks and they don't like to put the money to a place before the money actually comes in. So I have a feeling that amongst all the other things on the bill that we see might be wrong with it, the one thing that we see right with it might actually be the one thing that kills the bill, which is really unfortunate. I don't know how far the Democrats are going to be digging their heels in on this, the old guard, as far as, are they going to kill the bill if we decide the money goes to communities, or will they work out some kind of compromise where they earmark a portion of the money to the communities and then a certain amount of money goes into the general fund? I think the problem here is that Ned Lamont and the old guard want to get their hand on that money as soon as possible. They don't want to wait, but I know I've spoken to all my constituents in Connecticut Normal and Cure, Connecticut, and we would be willing to wait rather than kill the bill if we could go for something more like, oh, look, here, both guys made it. Excellent. If we could go for something more than for a Vermont-style legalization and wait on retail sales. So that's really what has been happening up at the state level as far as this the marijuana legalization bill goes. And we just had Lou and Keeber came in, so we can get going on what's
you want
going
to say a happy hello there, sir?
Yeah, man.
How's it going,
No,
Joe?
I was running out of breath here.
Joe the weed guy.
Running out of things to
I'm
say.
sorry about that, Joe.
Hey,
Joe,
Keeber.
you know what happened? I got caught up talking with one of the Vietnam veteran gentlemen that I hang out with sometimes. So
I'm sure it's that guy
you know,
who comes into my vape.
it is
into the
exactly
vape
that guy
store.
that comes into your vape store. So yeah, so it's kind of a full circle thing.
Yeah,
he
I
picks
wish
up
I could
some of
say
those.
that.
He picks up some of those candies. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
he likes it.
He's one of he gets his certification at Canna Health.
Oh, okay.
So ultimately, it's a full circle
Oh,
type
yeah.
of thing. So,
All good.
his daughter was a bartender for me at one of the companies that I managed, and then from there, he just needed some help around the house. You can, hey, my father needs a little help, moving the air conditioner, and he's getting older. He's an old vet.
I know he's a cool guy.
Yeah, you know
I
what
give
I
him the
mean? So-
discount. I give him the military discount.
so a lot of these guys, we joke about it, and I'm in that midlife-ish type of time. So he's
I'm glad
like,
you're in the midlife-ish.
so and he goes, I don't have a lot of my friends are dying. That's what
Right.
he keeps saying. Yeah, man.
let's leave
so
it at
that's so we hang out, and
Cool.
he shows me a ton of vibrant life of his own, and he loves CBD. He goes over to your shop and he picks
buys
up
his CBD there. Yeah.
He buys his CBD there, and then he has his medical marijuana card, and he gets it right through Keeper's office. And it's
So he knows us all.
yeah, it shows that the community is beautiful, and they will support us, and we support them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's all love.
So before you guys came in, I was going over what's going on up in Hartford.
So much.
I don't know if you heard it on the air, but
Yep, I was listening.
pretty
I love
much.
listening. Come on.
I mean, Keeper, do you agree with me that the bill, the third part of the bill, as written, we like?
Oh yeah,
However,
we were shocked.
we
about
Yes.
were shocked
About how
that
much
it was
we
so
liked it.
good, right? Except the $35 an ounce
well,
tax.
yeah,
We
yeah,
know
yeah.
why that is. They're worried about the price of weed going down. Then
Yeah.
they'll lose their money.
They're trying to make sure, but even
Stable.
at
They want a
$35,
stable rate.
realistically, at $35 an ounce, if the ounce is $200, these are just simple math
These are the
things.
same numbers I used.
It's $35 on top of the 200. So
And
for
then
every 100, it's about 16%.
yeah, no, it's
So it's
we,
not horrible.
No, we
know?
went over it. It's about even unless the
Yeah.
price of weed goes down.
Yes.
That's
yes,
what they're
yes.
worried about. So I get it. Look, I get it.
And
They're about
realistically,
money.
it might go down.
Oh, will.
It'll
Come on.
peak,
Look what
and then
happened
it'll
in
drop.
the other states. It all went down in Oregon.
but it
and-
peaks. There is a peak. You know,
Yeah.
we just got to fight. We'll work through that.
So what I was thinking, Keeper, is up on Capitol Hill. The big controversy is really going to be where this money goes.
Yeah.
Am I
Right.
correct?
Yeah.
There seems to be two camps up there. One camp wants the money to go back into the communities, wants this bill to go through the way it is. The other camp wants control over the money and doesn't necessarily think it should go back into the communities. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, you're correct.
And do you think that the gap between the two is big enough to actually kill this bill?
Um,
I mean, you're up there with
No.
the coalition.
Yeah, I would be. I'm on the same page as you on that
yeah,
one, Kiva.
Do you think they can come up with a compromise?
I think that they will have enough votes
Yeah.
for it to pass.
My
Speaking
thought.
of that,
I
I
guess
have the list.
Joe coming with his hit list. Oh man.
Mhm.
So we'll go over that.
I mean, the thing, the finance committee
Right.
bill specifically, if none of the other bills were about where the money goes.
No, right.
This was specifically for where the money goes, and it was so strange to be sitting in the hearing and having all these people talk about why cannabis should be prohibited, and their husband died in a car accident, all this stuff.
We
that they were-
appreciate all that.
I mean,
but
and it is.
you
Yes,
know,
I say that respectfully.
you did.
You know,
You did.
but I like that wasn't what that was about.
Right.
And so, like the way the bill is,
Mhm.
it should be fine to
Yeah.
pass. I mean,
Right.
where else? I don't understand this. I don't see how
General
anybody could get
fund.
away with trying to divert these funds, especially since we're all acknowledging
Right.
the
Well,
history.
I
of
don't know if you
prohibition.
guys know, Ned Lamont has come out publicly and
I
said
saw.
he wants.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Ned
do you
Lamont-
also know that the legislator has a bill in to take his power away
Oh
and
yeah.
put it in their hands?
Oh.
And he has
Mm.
and it's a bipartisan bill. They're both for it, but he's publicly come out and said he will veto it.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that we don't even know. They're trying to take the power because he wants that power.
He will veto. Who's gonna veto what?
Ned said if they pass a bill to take his power away
He
from
will
him,
veto.
he
it.
will
Okay,
veto
I
it.
thought you were talking about.
Yeah, I
And
just
said-
found
he
that
said
out
all
this
that about that
weekend.
community
And
research?
we just said, well, I think it should. What did he say? It should go into drug education programs and
For
law
Shut up.
enforcement for opioids. But he also said he
"Shut
wa-
up, Ned."
He also wants. He also
The watch groups.
He also said he wants control of the money.
Mhm.
That's basically what he said. So
Yeah, well,
we'll
people
see.
want their lives back, and people want to have the same opportunities he had to become a multi-millionaire. And
We remember
and we
how
don't
he
even
made
want
that
to
money,
move
right?
to Greenwich.
Here's what's
he made that money
interesting.
off payday loans too. if I
Payday
remember.
loans. All
I
right?
read
So he
to-
needs to pay a little reparations too.
72 districts have been designated as opportunity zones in this state already.
Right.
So, and I read an article today where they're waiting to get these things up and running, get these opportunity zones to start, get them up and running, and get things going in them.
You know, I did
Now, this
a
is
little
the perfect
research about that.
opportunity to match the two, because the
Yeah.
opportunity zones, I look where they are.
They
are
overlap.
in the communities
They
that
overlap.
have been most affected by the war on drugs.
100%, Joe.
I saw they're in Hartford, New Haven, New London. And before Brian calls in, we'll do
Let's pay some bills.
We'll do the station ID, but I want to go over these legislators too. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We're streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook Live. Just go to facebook.com/New Haven Independent or go to your Facebook page and look us up.
And hit that follow button.
That's it. So now,
And I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted today.
No, you.
I have a real job, unfortunately. I mean, fortunately.
Fortunately, yes.
God is
you are
providing
awesome.
for
yes.
me. But some people from corporate are down and they're expecting me to do my work.
oh man, I hate that when that
You know what, though?
happens.
I have to say, you really do take a lot of time. So if you don't know, Keeper is literally bouncing from her
She goes all
regular
over
job, bounces from there, comes over here, does
goes back.
this,
Yeah.
goes to her regular job, and then goes up to the Capitol, goes talk to those people up there,
Yeah.
and then comes back, and she's a full-time mother, too.
Yes.
Takes care of them kids.
And has a couple businesses.
And has a couple businesses. So when somebody's like, "Oh, I can't do something," I'm like, I literally watch people around me bust
Okay.
their hump and do it, like the gentleman that's about to jump
Our
on the phone
caller
line.
is in.
Oh, hey.
On the line is Brian Center.
Yes, sir.
Brian.
Brian.
I thought you said he was here.
He probably just hung up because we let it ring for forever.
Brian.
It's all right. He'll call right back.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey,
There you
Brian.
are. I see. You're hiding out on us.
yeah.
Hey, on the line we got Brian Center. He is a licensed pharmacist with the state of Connecticut. Works in the medical marijuana industry. Has MMC Consult and our MM Consult of Connecticut, right? Medical
Yep.
Marijuana Consultants of Connecticut, and also works with Connecticut Normal, and is also the head pharmacist of the new dispensary opening up here in New Haven. Brand new, I'm
Mhm.
saying, one of the 9. So, Brian, you came in at a very fortuitous time. We're just about to go over the list. I have
All right.
I have the hit list here in my hand.
Dum, dum, dum.
So I was
And-
just thinking about something real quick before we go on, because this is something I hadn't really thought about, and we were talking about how we're going to negotiate things with all this. The amendment to add money into the opioid recovery and education and drug abuse education and awareness. If they're going to do that, then we should require that they add opiate use disorder to the list of requirements or of conditions as well.
Yeah, right. A lot of people
Mhm.
don't know that. Unfortunately, during the Finance Committee bill, they did remove the opioid thing, that the clause they had in, and the lowering of the fees for the medical marijuana program, making it contingent on legalization only. Am I correct on that? Or did they
Yep,
just pull it out
exactly.
altogether?
No, that bill, that was 7287. That one died on the floor of the Finance Committee last week there, when the other one passed out. But that died from pressure from the DCP and the Board of Physicians and everybody else. But what they were concerned about there is they didn't want that to potentially pass through, eliminating all of the fees, and then have legalization not make it, and
When
now
they have
they
no money.
eliminated all the fees, but they don't have the legalization funding to
Right,
replenish that money that was lost. That was probably the biggest reason. But
right.
I don't know. That was just I was having on. If they want the money to go to opioid recovery and education, then they should also add the opiate use disorder to the medical program. Though.
Right,
Mm.
exactly right, because that's part of opioid recovery
Yes.
and rehabilitation. So I
Exactly.
totally agree with you on that. And, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of the medical marijuana program, but I wanted to go over real quick this list of legislators and who is voting no or undecided for this legalization bill.
It's going down.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go over everybody, but a few
Give us our key
places
ones. Yeah.
really stuck out to me, and this I want to tell Mr. Lou Pino to get on the phone, because Joe De La Cruz of District 41 in New London and Groton is a no vote right now on legalization. So those of you who are in the New London and Groton area, which is a big area that was affected by the war on drugs.
100%. And I believe they're also in the small business district as well. So they have opportunity.
District. So Joe De La Cruz of New London and Groton is a no vote.
We're going to have to reach out to our friends.
That area. Now also, Daniel Fox of Stanford is a no vote.
Interesting.
Which is because Stanford is another area that would benefit from this funding. So those of you who live in Stanford, you need to call Daniel Fox and tell him.
And they're okay with allowing medical marijuana, which is
Right.
very limited and creates zero opportunities for people in those communities. So that means that Mr. Fox there supports corporate entities,
Yep.
you know, the monopoly of this industry as opposed to reinvesting in communities. So someone needs to tell him about himself.
Yes.
Right. And even
Yes.
in New London,
don't
aren't
forget
they
about
opening a
Purdue
new
Pharma
one?
being in their backyard too.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
Oh, there you go. That could be the reason why. We should see who his donors are.
Mhm.
Now, Henry
Uh-oh.
Ganga. Henry Ganga, who's been a friend.
Mhm.
East Hartford. He's a no vote.
Hmm.
I don't know why. But he is a
Have
no
to
vote.
reach out
So those
there.
of you up in East Hartford need to talk to him. And then Patrick Boyd, he's up in Woodstock, you know.
different groups there.
But Travis Sims in Norwalk is leaning no.
Mhm.
Norwalk.
Norwalk is another area that's been affected by the war on drugs. That is part of that program.
Keeper,
See,
we're going to
they-
have to get some offices down there.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
what we
think
got to do.
absolutely, and I think part of the problem is this total misconception. I don't even know. It's not even misconception is the wrong word. It's just the correlation between the war on drugs and they're using that as an excuse as to why certain communities should not have cannabis legalized. And yes, no community of mine should have any more drugs or guns poured into it. That I agree. But business opportunities and opportunities to work in an industry, like this is, everybody keeps making it seem like this is about getting high.
I know.
It's
And it's
definitely
so
not
much
about
more
that.
than that.
Right.
That's like the bonus
Yeah.
Yeah.
to it all.
Yeah.
That's that ancillary happiness.
Yes. You know, and I wish there was a way to kind of reframe. That's what it.
Yeah,
If there was a way to
changing people's
reframe,
minds.
you know, the way people are thinking about legalization of cannabis. This isn't because all they talk about is driving while under the influence. They're not talking about
Kids,
creating
THC levels,
entrepreneurship and opportunities, and you know, people with responsibilities and businesses. They're not gonna want to be walking around stoned all day and not productive.
Right.
People with businesses are gonna be engaged. They're gonna
Mhm.
be in their communities doing the
Yep.
work and helping to revitalize. Because
and
once
people
you
with
have
jobs.
once you have a business or a job, you take pride in not only your little
100%.
your space, but you think about who's gonna walk up on it. So you start thinking more community minded, and you know. And so I wish we could just reframe these thoughts. But anyway,
All right. So Brian, while we
There was
have you
just
on
a
the
study
line,
that came out last week that was saying how medical marijuana in seniors is allowing them to stay in the workforce longer.
yeah,
Yes.
it
I
helps
mean,
me.
think of how big that is, you know?
That's huge.
and
Yeah.
not everybody
They should
wants to
love
go
that.
through the, you know, like I always use. I know, guys, I'm sorry to use this example all the time, but I use the example of women's issues
Yep.
that people who use cannabis like maybe help with menstrual cramps and stuff like
That's
that.
a huge
PMS?
topic.
Yeah,
and That's a
you,
huge
or
topic.
PMS, you may not want to necessarily go through the process of getting your medical marijuana certification and paying the
Being
fees and doing
embarrassed,
all
right.
that stuff. You might just want to be able to medicate when you need it once
Right.
a month or once every other month or whatever it turns out to be. That people should have that option. They should be able to access that.
I agree.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
have to go to the doctor when I'm getting cramps. I just
That's
go
right.
to the
You
store and
go-
buy
yep.
some more ibuprofen.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
it's the same thing. So
Yeah.
mm.
So, Brian, speaking of the medical program, and Keeper, I'm glad you're in on this too. I've been seeing a lot of things on social media about how everybody is afraid that this legalization bill is going to kill the medical marijuana program.
No.
I'm trying to understand what their fears are and why. And maybe both of you guys, as both really involved in the medical
Mhm.
marijuana program. Can you explain to me how would legalization kill the medical marijuana program here in Connecticut?
Or do you believe that it would enhance the medical
Yeah.
marijuana community? Because I believe, personally, before I let you guys jump, because you guys are the medical professionals, I think it would enhance the medical marijuana because I'm going to still participate in the medical marijuana program.
Right.
What do
Now,
you
and
think,
if you
Keeler?
think it will, how can we prevent it?
Yeah,
I mean, let's not talk about the problem. Let's talk about the solutions too.
I
How do
like
we
that.
prevent?
Like, how do we incentivize people to
Obliterating the
stay
medical?
on it, like to stay in the program? Let's just discuss that right real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing everybody's concerned about, which everyone's concerned about from day one, is supply, right? I mean, it's, you know, that's everybody's biggest fear is that they're not going to have the medication that they need when they need it. And when it comes to supply, I think people get it a little confused sometimes. People can get frustrated because, you know, yeah, my strain of flower is not available or this isn't available. It ebbs and flows. That's part of the industry. It's you're dealing with Mother Nature, but the medication that we're talking about not having available are your CBD to THC ratios, a 1-to-1, a 5-to-1. You know, your CBN products, your THCA products, your sublingual strips, your sprays, your tinctures, your high potency oils for the patients that need them. Those are the things that the patients start to get really freaked out about, because these are the medications that these patients have come to rely on, that have helped them get off of their opiates or help them be those more active participants in their life or do what they needed to do. And that's what they're scared about. People aren't really scared about, you know, flower going away, because we'll always have something there. And actually, I think a rec program would make sure more flower is available, honestly. But I think the biggest concern are those medical products, making sure that the right capsules, the right tinctures, the right oils, those sublingual strips, the things that the patients rely on for their daily medications to help maintain. Those are the most important things that we don't want to lose out on.
Okay,
And with
so
the new dispensaries coming online, those allotments get much lighter too. So it makes it harder for the patients to find it and get it when it is available.
okay, so first of all, maybe increasing allotments, increasing production, and how about a differentiation of products between rec and medical? So if you want medical, like you say, the tinctures, the strips, the good, potent, really potent stuff that helps medical, you can only get it at the medical marijuana dispensary. And if you want rec products, more like the drinks and the candies and that's what you get at the rec stores. I think that's a way to incentivize people. Kira, what do you think?
I definitely like the differing pricing.
Mhm.
You know, that's where I'd like to focus. If we were to kind of encourage a difference, I like that the
I like
product
that.
should be available across both ends of that. Like the example I just used, somebody who maybe doesn't want to consume flour, but they do want to deal with menstrual cramps,
Right.
should have options like everybody else. So I just think pricing should be what they do. Like,
like
maybe
that.
making it. I think they should really consider eliminating that
The fee.
The fees.
Mhm.
I think that was a big thing. If you
Yeah.
keep that fee at $100 and you legalize, I think that's going to be a big factor
yeah.
because people aren't going to want, but they'll pay $10. You know,
Right.
because it could be a $300 proposition, $200 for the doctor and $100
Yes.
for the.
Mhm.
So people aren't going to be willing to pay that. But once they realize, hey, I'm saving $35 an ounce on tax,
Mhm.
I don't have to pay sales tax,
Mhm.
3%. Maybe they'll realize maybe being a medical patient, plus all the benefits you get, like people like Brian,
Mhm.
people like you, who can help with dosing and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to get that really with the rec.
Right.
You'd probably have to.
Maybe. I
well,
mean,
yeah,
do we
actually,
even
that
know?
would be. We don't.
Yeah, how things will be set up. Like, it would be not. Even though I do think there should be entry level jobs at the dispensaries or
For everybody,
so
yeah.
it shouldn't be just that you have to have some advanced degree.
Right.
But there hopefully will be, even in adult use facilities,
Education.
someone with knowledge and education, because there's going to be so much that's needed, especially like in certain communities, and we're putting in dispensaries. Well, we want to have somebody who can do community outreach and education.
Every dispensary should
prevention.
have that.
Absolutely.
I know a couple of them
Yeah.
do, but not everyone does.
Absolutely.
But every
But
dispensary
that's
should
part
hire
of the
somebody.
industry too, though. It doesn't matter where you go out to California or whatever. You have people that, you walk into one shop and it's a bunch of, people just blasting music, rolling blunts, and you walk into another one and it's a very medical, welcoming atmosphere where people are really treating you appropriately. And I think that's where the industry is going to, sort of work itself out, because not every place can be, the place where they're rolling blunts, and, you can't have every place be the fully medical place either. So I think that's a kind of a good thing. It allows the patients that really only want that medical attention to be able to go and get that and not be surrounded by everybody else who is just looking to, get high and use recreationally or something as well in the legal market, because they don't want to deal with going through the medical process.
Right. This is true. And I got to say, for me, I like the fact, because I participated in the medical program out in California. And like you say, people had no clue what they were selling. They were in there rolling blunts. You know what I mean? They were kids half the time. I kind of like the fact.
Let's use the right term. Young adults.
Young adults. Okay.
Yeah.
Young adults.
Because the baby.
Yeah,
I'm
they're not
sitting
kids,
in-
but
Well, this
young
was
adults.
Cali.
Yeah, Cali, 18 years old.
18
20
years old. And I'm
exactly.
sitting in line, waiting in line with people that are 18, 19 years old.
Exactly.
You know, they're in there buying large amounts and slanging it out on the streets. It was like the Wild West there. I appreciate the fact that I can walk into a place, somebody's there with some knowledge. This way, if I have any questions about the product, they can answer me in a very reasonable, logical, intelligent way. And also, I like the fact that the test results. When I was in Cali, there were no test results. There were nothing. It said how many milligrams were it was edibles. But as far as the weed, no test results. We got indica, sativa, and what the price was. And high grade, medium grade, or low grade. That's it. And I like the fact that you can go in there and see how much THC is in there. And all those test results are on there. And I hope other people would like that. And that's what's good about the medical program, I think. It's a step above rec. You know what I mean? You get a little bit better service. You get a little bit more knowledge about the product and things like that. I just think it's a step above rec, and that's why I would continue to participate in it, and I hope other people feel that way. So what about home grow for patients? Would that incentivize people to stay in the program?
That
That's
would.
the only reason why I'm staying in the program, because I get what you're saying, but I also believe that the market regulates itself. You know what I mean? So where even we talk about this with CBD, we keep such a high regard for what we're looking for in CBD. You know what I mean? So what I believe is with the idea. So I'm
Kiva's
not
taking off.
Yeah,
Now say goodbye to
bye,
Kiva.
dear.
She had to run.
She's still
Corporate
working.
called her. Corporate
Bye,
called her.
Gabe.
Bye. We love you.
So Brian, what's your take on this?
Yeah.
Lou, you feel home grow would incentivize people to join? How about you, Brian?
I think it would incentivize people to join. I think it would incentivize people to stay in the program. So bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, is how to save the program. I think home grow is huge. I think it's a great way to also, implement that study of, what home grow would look like to a bunch of people that pretty much already know what they're doing with the product and are looking to have some more consistency in their medication anyway. But I think, like we talked about, if legalization is coming, we got to eliminate those fees. That is the biggest barrier, just because, like you said, it's a lot easier to come out of pocket for an extra 10 or 15 bucks every now and again, as opposed
Once
to
a year,
300 bucks up front, one time. That's
Right.
a bigger hit for people. But we also need to have more conditions. I mean, the fact that, like I had mentioned earlier, the opioid use disorder died on the floor. The chronic pain died in the House this year in committee. The neuropathic pain never even got a hearing. And this is stuff that our Board of Physicians has kind of failed the patients on, in my opinion. But if we don't have enough conditions, or forget even adding those conditions, let's put the only one that matters. And at the doctor's discretion, if the doctor feels it's
Let's
appropriate,
do like
then
mass.
why can't they certify you? And let's just leave it there. And then we don't have to deal with any more conditions or anything else, because you still have to go to a physician in order to get certified. And there's still steps to make sure that this is being done properly. So, if you really want to make sure the medical program doesn't die, you need to have a large enough base. Right now, we have less than 1% of the total population in Connecticut that's in the program. That's not nearly enough.
Right.
We need
and
a
you need
whole
to
heck
get
of a lot
more
more.
conditions
So
to
the
get
only
them
way
in,
to
yeah.
do that is, even right now, if they decrease the fees, drop it down to say $50 instead of
That would
$100,
help.
I think we're the most expensive in the country too for that. So even dropping the fees for now, and if we can allow patients the ability to start home grow, and let's say they have to purchase some sort of a permit to do that for an extra $25 or something to home grow for the year, right? There's a little bit of money that the state can recoup and everything as well, that people aren't going to be capable of home growing. We all know that. That's just
Not everybody wants
fact.
to do it. You just register with the state. You tell it would be a very simple process. You have 30,000 people.
Yeah.
You already have their information. You put out a
Right.
notice. Hey, we're doing a study. Any patients who would like to participate in this study on home grow, please call the DCP and register for the program. We'll tell you what the requirements are. How many people out of those 30,000 are actually going to register and know that they're going to have to follow through with the crop? Like, I could throw some seeds in, but it may not even come past the veg stage. Do you know what I mean? They may die in the
Right.
middle.
Yep.
I would not sign up for that program because I don't feel like my skills are good enough for me to show my product at the end of the day, and let the DCP see, that I was able to do it. So, I mean, I don't think you're going to get a ton, maybe 300. I would think you'll get 1%.
If anybody
I
knows,
agree.
when that list goes
Maybe.
out, let me know.
I think you'll get 10% that apply. I think maybe 1% of those even are actually capable of actually,
growing. Yeah.
producing something.
Yeah, so I mean,
But-
that's something that they're worried about, and I really don't think they should. I mean, I know we've all been seeing the news. Vermont, New Hampshire, both are going to allow for home grow. Vermont is finally putting in its retail program. It looks like the governor might try to veto it, but they have the votes to override his veto. So we're seeing legislators here, legislative states now actually stepping up to the plate and putting in full legalization bills right here in New England. And guess what? They all include home grow.
Yes, sir.
We are the
Did
only
you see what the
state.
governor of Rhode Island said though over the weekend?
Oh, they don't want home grow. What did he say?
It was Gina.
Oh, yeah,
God,
yeah.
what was it she said? Something about like it's going to save lives if we eliminate home grow or ban this and everything. I mean, it was.
They're having a big
Really ridiculous.
problem with corporate influence up there. Big
Oh, yeah.
problem because they're so small. It's so easy just to, to be able to manipulate a small legislator like that. I've been hearing a lot from the advocates up there that the corporate influence up there trying to take control over the industry is really bad. And of course, it's a small state, so how many advocates you really have? Maybe, we got our own battle to fight down here, but Rhode Island's having a tough time too. So they've had home grow since medical, and now they may lose that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Their caregiver program is now, here it is. Grow their own marijuana at home is dangerous, and that a ban will quote save lives. So evidently, home grow is killing people.
I would just wish we could have a few cases of people either getting sick, going in the hospital from homebrewed beer, homebrewed wine, and things like
Right.
that. Right? That needs to make the news because it does happen. It does happen,
Yes.
but just people don't report it because they don't want to get in trouble. So, yeah, no, I think, there's a lot of fear-mongering going on. The people who are opponents of legalization are seeing the clock ticking on them, and they are pulling out all the stops. And it comes from two sides. It comes from the side that wants to control the industry, and then it comes from the side that wants to prevent the industry. And here we are in the middle, people who want to have a good, well-regulated industry, and we seem to be in the minority. Or at least with the least money out of
I was just going to
everybody.
say our pockets are the shallowest.
Yes,
That's about
exactly.
it right
It's true. Prohibitionists with Sam and a couple of the other groups at AAA and all that, they got tons of money behind them. And the
Mhm.
same thing with the big corporate entities and big tobacco who are against it, and the big corporate entities who want control over it. They got much more money than we have as advocates and activists. But if you look at the bill, the finance bill part at least, seems like we had more influence than they did. Right?
Which is absolutely awesome, though.
So, we are winning, and we'll see if we end up winning at the end. But, right now we're in the final battle. I wanted to go over this real quick. The undecided people that stand out in my head. Now, Brian, where do you live?
I'm in Monroe.
So you're good. You have a Republican representative,
Yeah,
I believe. So
Republican
you
all the
can't
way
even
around
you
here.
can't even talk to him. Uncle Lou, where
Nope.
do you live up that way? Is you a Republican or a Democrat?
Meriden.
Republican or Democrat?
My representative is a Democrat.
And he's yes, right? And he's not
Her.
on the list.
Right, her.
She's not on the list, so
Right.
you got a yes.
Yes.
All right, so you
She
know.
lives around the block from my house.
Okay, very good. Same thing with Kim. All right, so let's talk about the places that really stand out to me of undecided people. Larry Butler, Ronald Napoli, and Gerald Reyes are all representatives from Waterbury. All three of them are on the fence, undecided about legalization.
They have a dispensary
That's
there,
very interesting to me. What do you think about that? I mean, they have a dispensary there already. Their city is already participating in the medical program, yet all three of them are undecided.
Isn't Geraldo Reyes part of the BPRC too?
Yeah,
too. Mm-hmm.
BRCC, yeah.
So
But he's undecided. So now maybe he's on the fence. Maybe he can swing over easy. But he has been listed as an undecided vote.
yeah,
And
no, I
may-
know Waterbury's been historically against it. How they got a dispensary and everything else is beyond me, but
So those
That's
of you
okay.
who live in Waterbury, you have 3 representatives that you can call or email and ask them
Yeah.
and find out why they're undecided.
Our dispensary opened up in Meriden.
Right.
It opened up this week.
yeah.
Last week.
Very good. So one of the
Yeah.
first, is that one of the first out of the new batch?
I believe it is the first.
I have not heard anything about it.
It's Mansfield opened as well.
Okay, so
All
they
right,
were
so we're going to
opening
have to
so
go
second.
over that on the next show.
And it's quiet, and it's not even
Yep.
very much. It's
They're doing it quietly on purpose at the beginning.
Yeah.
I
They're-
didn't see anything.
they don't want to get overwhelmed
Yeah.
and everything too, and it's just a little easier. So we'll probably be sort of similar. I'm not sure how.
Yeah, I want to
like
go
we'll
over that.
eventually have a grand opening, but we want to get our feet under us first and make a few mistakes before we have everybody and their brother
Yeah.
filing through.
and in the beginning you have to transfer over before you can even go in. So.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, I'll be letting people know when it's time to start filling out your paperwork and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Meriden opened on Monday of last week.
Mhm.
I think they actually started taking phone calls the Friday before getting
Yep.
patients transferred, but they didn't have their first sale until Monday. And Mansfield, I believe, also opened last week. I don't remember which day, but very quietly as well. But they are listed on the DCP website now too, under dispensaries that you can.
Ah, very cool. So we are going to
Go
have
to
these
it,
9
thank you.
dispensaries, it looks like, open up very soon
Mhm.
by the summer. But real quick, I want to go over a couple more people that are in our listening area. People who live in Guilford, if you're listening, Sean Scanlon, your representative there, is on the fence, undecided. He is a Democrat. And also in Stratford, my representative shows up on this list, Joe Gresco. So those of you who are in Stratford, you need to call your representative, Joe Gresco. And then back to Stamford, we have Patricia Miller, who is also on the fence. There is a whole nother list. I'm sure Connecticut Normal is going to publish this list over the next couple of days. But I do want to let people know that this is the final countdown. These people who are undecided need to come over. There are 16 of them. That's a lot of votes. There are 5 no votes. There are 2 legislators leaning no. There are 3 legislators who are undecided and leaning yes. This is important, folks. It's time to cross over the edge. Brian, tell us a little bit
Yes.
about the new dispensary that you are opening up
Mhm.
and the class that you are teaching this weekend down at the Grove.
So we're going to be opening down. It's going to be 1351 Whaley Ave in New Haven. It's the old 7-Eleven that's there. It used to be Tommy K's Videos way back in the day. Right off of the Merritt, right by the tunnel right there. So super easy access. We got parking and everything, and everything's coming along. I mean, he's really doing a great job building everything out in there. More information from that as it comes. It's still, we're still in the build out process. So
What's
who
the
knows
name?
what kind of bumps we can run into. It's Affinity Health and Wellness.
Affinity
The
Health and
website-
Wellness. Okay.
Yep. And the website is affinityct.com. So if anybody wants to sign up for emails with progress and everything, you can sign up there with that.
And this is the new New Haven dispensary, guys. So
this is the new New Haven dispensary. Yep.
And now,
And
so
then-
how are you training these people to work in the store, Brian? You have a class coming this weekend?
I do have a class coming this weekend, which is exactly, one of the places that we're looking for new employees and everything too, because it's all about, what it takes to work in a dispensary, what happens in a dispensary, and what's expected of you, what qualifications you need, and just kind of, some basics as to what it is to work in a dispensary. So that way, when you walk in the door for your interview, you can actually give them some answers that, show you already have a leg up on everybody else. Because I'll tell you, I've been doing some interviews, and that's part of the problem is,
Education.
just because someone's a pharmacy technician, they don't know anything at all about cannabis. And I don't need people to be a expert on it. That's fine, but just some knowledge would definitely be helpful as well. And that's what we're trying to give everybody with the class.
That's this Saturday,
and-
10 o'clock, down at the Grove, right? In Milford?
Yep. 10 a.m. at the Grove in Milford this Saturday, the 11th. If anybody has any questions or any information, you can check out the Grove CT. You can check out,
Canna
my
Health,
website.
Facebook.
Yep, you can check out Canna Health on Facebook. You can check out, my social media as well. Any one of us, or get in touch with us and we can get you signed up, no problem.
Very, very cool, Brian. All right. I'm going to let you go because we only have a couple minutes left to the show. Thank you
All right,
so
boys.
much for calling in and lending your insight. And we hopefully will see you this week. Well, I'll see you this weekend, but hopefully some of our listeners will see you this weekend at the class. If you want to learn how to work in a dispensary, please, anything you need to know, give us you can give us a call at the Grove or at Canna Health. And Brian, we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
All right, take it easy, guys.
All right. Have a good one. All right.
Have a good one, brother.
Uncle Lou.
I like when he's a very knowledgeable guy, man.
Yeah, well, we got good people
It's
surrounding
awesome.
us.
It really is, and the class is going to be amazing.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we just opened up a Canna Health office in Milford in the same space that we hold the classes.
It's a beautiful
Grand
thing,
opening was last Wednesday. We had, I think, 7 patients.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice grand opening. And we will be open this week in Milford on 158 Bridgeport Avenue from 12 to 4. So those of you who want to get your medical marijuana
That's right.
cards, come in. We have good prices, same prices as Canna Health New Haven or Hartford. We are the 3rd office of Canna Health in Connecticut. We're very proud to be down there, and that is where we teach the classes. So let's go over what's going on this week.
Let's talk, Joe.
May the 10th. There's a spring picnic happening.
Yes, sir.
Spring picnic this Friday at the Grove, 6 p.m. Uncle Lou, tell us real quick what
It's
we're
a
going to be doing at the
nice
picnic.
light social gathering at the Grove. Joe will be serving coffee. I will be serving a small composed salad, and while I make it, I'll be answering questions. I'll be telling people how to do it. I'll also be showing how to infuse it with some of the CBD products that you can get down at the Grove. So that's
We're doing a drink and a dessert
and
too?
as well as a drink. So we're gonna do a carbonated beverage, infused with some nano CBD because CBD comes in many different forms, Joe.
We'll talk about that.
So we'll talk about that, and then we will do a small dessert. And there's going to be enough for everybody to kind of nosh a little bit on it.
Cool.
And then everybody have a conversation. There'll be some coffee going, provided by Go-Go Joe's.
A little education, a little social.
And then the next day we have Brian's class. So it kind of it's all to
tie in
together and give more opportunity for you to come out and check out the Grove
and learn,
and
right? And see what we got going
there's
on.
also a beautiful
store next door. Yeah.
There's a beautiful. No, I was going to talk about you guys have all the art on the walls.
Oh,
You
yeah,
have like
art,
6
yeah,
panels of
art.
it. So they have 6 panels along the wall. That's I think they're like
Each
2
artist
foot by
gets
3
a
foot,
panel,
or
yeah.
3 foot by 3 foot, and I get to rent them out by the month or something, or
Yeah.
they, and then an artist puts their work up there that you can have them for sale. So I really like the space, and that's one of my. I'll quote Gary V on this, but every time somebody misses something, Gary V missed out on Uber or something like that.
Right. Yeah, don't miss out
So
on the
I
Grove.
missed up. I like to joke around and say, hey, I missed out on Uber on this one. So I'm always looking for my next
Next big
because
thing.
that's Rich, Joe, and Brian, which is absolutely awesome. Those 3 guys have a great shop down there, and they're going to be doing amazing things. What else we got going on there?
May 15th, we got Lobby Day. From what I
Big.
know, last thing I heard,
Big.
Lobby Day and a press conference at the LOB. The Connecticut Coalition will be holding a press conference. Then we're going to do lobby day till about noon up there at the LOB. That's the 15th. And then the night on the 15th, we have the Connecticut Normal meeting, and that is at the Grove this month at 7 o'clock. So other than that, what else we got going on, Uncle Lou? I forgot to ask Kira what Canna Health hours are open this week.
They're open full time this week as they normally business
So
hours.
just check the website, visit
the website.
cannahealth.com.
Yep.
Same thing if you want to make an appointment at any of the 3 offices, just go to visit cannahealth.com. And I guess that's it for the week. Guys, call your legislators. We'll see you later.
That's right.
Yeah, call your legislators.
We gave you the hit list. The hit list is going to be up on the coalition sites on Facebook. What else can we say? I love it. Thank you so much to Brian again. Joe, thank you as always. Kibra, keep up the great work. And we got a lot of really cool things coming up. Let's do it.
All right. See you next week, guys.
Thank you, Joe. Stay happy, healthy, and high.
Yep.
I told my plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I'm in Cali every week. I go hard. Grower said he got sour, need that whole yard. I'm chasing turkey bag. I'm chasing gold yard. Tell the dime we won't go far. Blue sherbet stuff the whole jar. 100 P's on the Bay Bridge, stuck in traffic. If I ever run into Riri, let's make magic. Die doing something you love, it ain't tragic. Heard what I said, it ain't tragic. From the home of lay down, smoking ratchets. Never win when you spell it backwards. I got green in the bay, my whole team Packers. Hold the plug, I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Told the plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. Gucci slides with the G's while I'm selling P's. Walking proof, money growing trees. Hit the plug, he gon' fly the geese. 100 P's, we supply the streets. Gelato cookies and that blue cheese. Yeah, woman, she got blue knees. Call her Arizona, she got a few C's. When I'm in California, plug like what you need. Pounds, pounds, pound, pound, pound. Put the work on the table, my niggas break it down. Moving that work since Hazes round. Ask anybody, my niggas run the town. Told the plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G. I told my plug I need 100 P's. Now my shoebox got 100 G.
This song's for you. If you ever really love somebody. Whoa. And then realize love alone ain't enough to keep things going. Whoa. So after a painful breakup, you pull yourself together for a date. Before you know it, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dates. And each time you come face to face with an utter and complete stranger, the thought crossed your mind where there was one. Whoa. Now there's you.
this is Bella, and you are listening WN 8 L P 1 O G point 5 F M New Haven Streaming Live at www. dot
New Haven Independent.
No, yeah.
.org.
.org.
The story began with a star that fell to earth and landed where you are. You stumbled on my lonely heart. Your love